Hi, welcome to A Voice for Echo, the mental health series. This is episode 4. I'm Lauren Patisi here with Chelsea Sulky, Nashville musician. Well, you're staying in New York now because of everything going on with coronavirus. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I mean, everything considered, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
So the other day, Chelsea and I were talking, and we just happened to mention how both of us have experienced depression under normal circumstances, but how it's affected us under these circumstances with everything going on with coronavirus. And I feel like it's just kind of exacerbating it.
I mean, we've talked about this in other episodes, but just being alone, being in your thoughts and not having anything to really honestly look forward to because we don't know when this is going to end. I was watching the news today and which I never do until this whole thing happened, but they were saying 12 to 18 months for a vaccine. And I was like, I literally broke down. I was like, I can't do this. But I know that no one can. Everyone's having an issue. And that's what I need to keep remembering. Like, it's not just me.
That does help, knowing that we're all in this together, because it feels so isolating and so alone. I'm grateful that we have things like Zoom and Facebook and Instagram. You know, you can see what everyone else is doing and see that we're all in this together, because it does feel very isolating and very alone when I'm just here in my house, I don't know, walking around, making food, doing whatever it is that I do, which is not too much. And I just feel like it feels very alone. And I think to myself, how long can I do this? I don't know how long I can do this for. It also feels like there's no end in sight. So it's just hard to deal with.
Yeah, I think that's my thing is for the most part, I'm introverted, which most people wouldn't know because I force myself to go out and socialize. But I love being alone and I've loved this alone time. But it's weird because it's like every other day I like have a different feeling. One day I'm like, I want to go see people. I want to like go out and whatever. And then there's days where like when it's raining and stuff, which is where the depression comes in, obviously, I just want to sit around and watch TV and turn my phone off and not talk to anyone.
I get the same way. And I'm similar in the way where I also am an introvert, which people are always surprised by because they're like, but you're on the radio, so you're super extroverted. And I'm like, sometimes, but for the most part, I just want to be a homebody. And so yeah, some of this is okay for me because I do enjoy being home and my anxiety is low because I'm not really expected to do anything and I'm just kind of here hanging out. But I want to be home on my own terms. I don't want to be home like 24/7 because I have to be. When it's on my own terms, that's perfect. But like you said with the weather, with the rain being depressing, I feel like the rain is depressing, but the sun is depressing too. Because as much as I love nice weather, when it's nice and I can't go anywhere, that is depressing. No matter the weather, I still feel like crap.
I feel that.
Yeah, it's weird. But I feel like at the same time, a lot of people are going through it too.
Yeah.
So kind of makes it a little bit easier to deal with, I guess. And I think some people are kind of freaking out because people that don't normally experience depression are experiencing some form of depression or anxiety or whatever, and they don't know what to do with it because it's not normal for them. And for people like us, it's our normal. So we're just like, oh, here it is again. And
just another day.
Yeah. And something else that you and I were talking about off of this video, I was telling you, I've had depression for years, but it hasn't been around for my whole life. I feel like it didn't come around until maybe like 2011, 2012, just kind of out of nowhere. I just started feeling this sense of emptiness and worthlessness, and it just like happened. And I was just wondering when it all kind of started for you.
It's hard to like go back in time because when we're young, and I was thinking about this other day, like there's a lot of memories I don't remember. I've definitely always felt off from as long as I can remember. I've always felt out of place. Like I've always felt like I don't belong no matter what group I've been in. Even my best friends, there are times I'm like, I don't fit in anywhere. And like, that's a really hard thing to deal with because it's usually not true. It's just our brains, you know, playing tricks on us. From when I can remember me feeling depressed, sad as the point that like I literally wanted to give up was probably 9th grade.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've been battling it for a long time. And it wasn't until I think 10th grade I started going to my guidance counselor, and then I would go to the nurse's office because I couldn't sit in class because I just felt anxious or depressed. There were times I just wanted to cry for no reason. I think hormones definitely had a part in it, but it was more than just that. I knew there was something wrong. I told my parents and they thought it was just hormones too, because I was like a teenager.
Right.
And then I finally got professional help in my freshman year of college. I lived in Schenectady, which was a rough neighborhood where I lived. And I couldn't walk outside without being followed.
Yeah,
it was
terrifying.
It was really scary. So that I ended up leaving 6 months early, and I still had to pay my lease for 6 months, but I literally cried every day. I couldn't sleep. I would literally just sit in my bedroom and look out the window. It was probably one of the lowest points of my life. But then I came back home, moved back in with my parents, and then started working in pharmacy and having more goals. And then that was when I got on medicine. That helped for a while until it didn't. And then I had to switch medicine, and it's getting to that point again where I'm starting to look into switching medicine again because it's starting to not help anymore. And it's just like a constant battle and a constant roller coaster, especially with all this going on. I'm scared to even go to the doctors for something like this because I don't want to get sick. And it's
for sure. Yeah.
Depression and anxiety, I feel like honestly go hand in hand. They're also very different. Anxiety is very heart racing and I mean, but then like depression, it's like tiredness and like too calm and like not being able to do anything. So it's like a really weird thing when you have both.
Both, right.
Because
it really is.
It almost feels like a bipolar thing, but it's not.
I really resonate with what you said about not fitting in anywhere. I always felt that way too. In school, in college, just all sorts of like social situations. I always felt like an outcast. I'm like, man, I don't fit anywhere. And then oddly enough, I felt like I finally belonged somewhere when I started radio. Thankfully, that's my career. So that's great that I finally have a place that I fit in, Radio is a lot of the people that didn't fit anywhere else, but we all fit here. And it's just the greatest feeling when you finally fit somewhere.
No, it makes sense. So that's the same thing with singing is because I've never felt like I fit in until I'm on stage because I can be anyone I want. And It's like when you're on stage, same thing radio, like everyone's there cheering you on. Like everyone wants to be there with you. I think part of that is something that maybe isn't the most healthy thing either, because right now we don't have that. But when I'm not on stage, I'm in the dressing room or backstage, wherever, and I'm just hanging out, not talking to anyone usually. A lot of creatives deal with depression and anxiety. A lot of them have social anxiety.
Yes, it's very draining. It really is, because you have to be on. Like you can't just sit there and just be tired or, drained of energy. Like you have to be on when you're doing that. And people don't understand, because if that's not what they do for a living, then it's really difficult to put yourself in that position.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But having our issues, I feel like, not issues, but you know what I mean? Like our illness exemplifies it 10 times more than the average person.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand like depression. Sometimes it's situational, but sometimes it's genetic. Sometimes it's chemical. And like you literally cannot help it without help, without therapy, without medicine. And that was at that time, like I was like, I don't have anything that would be making me this sad and this wanting to give up on anything and anxious all the time. It's genetic for me because it does run in my family. I have a chemical imbalance. There's no other explanation. And that almost is harder for me to accept because I'm like, there is something wrong with me. There is something in my brain that doesn't allow me to feel that happiness. And when it does, I'm like crazy, crazy happy. And then there's a drop. It's like almost instantly. And that's what I was going to go off of on the stage is singing, having that like huge rush, playing for people and having that love from everyone all at once. When you go home, you just go to bed. It goes from one extreme to the next. I think that's another thing that's really hard for artists and just anyone in general that have, I'm sure different careers obviously too, having that huge like feeling on cloud 9 to feeling nothing.
Yeah, because one minute you're performing in front of all these people, and the next minute you're home by yourself in your bed, or maybe you're with your family or whatever. You could literally go from hundreds or thousands of people to totally alone, and that's
exactly
a hard shift.
Yeah, it's huge. I've had people look at me like, what is wrong with you? So many times. Like, why are you so upset? Like, you're being dramatic. Just when I take a step back, I know I don't want to feel this way. Like,
Right.
I do what I can to not feel this way, and I still do. People legitimately don't understand unless they go through the same thing.
For sure. They don't. I will tell you, even in times when I'm feeling really good, I will look back on days when I was feeling horrible, like at my worst depression and just feeling like I wanted to die. And I can't understand myself from those days. I will look back and I'll write in journals and I'll say things like, if it wasn't for my dog, I wouldn't be here. And I legit have felt that. There are days where I'm like, nothing in this world matters. I'm only here because of my dog. He keeps me alive. I'll look back on days when I'm feeling normal and be like, how in the world did I ever feel like that? I can't even relate to myself on those days, which is crazy because it's me and I legit felt that. I mean, it's in writing, for crying out loud.
Right.
And I have those lows. And then on days when I'm totally normal, I'm like, I can't even imagine feeling like that ever. It's so weird, but
No.
That's just how it goes, I guess.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like so hard to talk about and explain to people. And the other thing though too is I don't want pity from people. That's the last thing I want, because then it makes it even worse. I just want to be able to say how I feel and that be it. I don't want people reaching out and being like, hey, I'm here for you if you need anything. And I know that sounds terrible, but it makes it worse because it's like, it makes me feel even less because I'm like, everyone sees that there's something wrong.
I think sometimes people feel like they have to be problem solvers and, and they're doing it with the best intentions. They just want to help.
Yeah.
They just want to make you feel better. I don't always look for answers. Sometimes I just want to be heard, or I just want to be, and you don't need to solve it for me. Just sit there and just listen. You don't have to say anything. And I think that's very difficult for people. Sometimes they just feel like they always have to say something, or they have to solve it, or they have to try. And that's not always what we need.
I honestly did some research on this when I worked in pharmacy, and obviously I can't say certain details, but a lot of people, I want to say 80% of my patients were on some kind of anxiety or depression medication. It's
not talked about as much as, say, diabetes or cancer. Those are normalized diseases. And it's not talked about as much. That's why I think that, this blog and this series are really important to let other people know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
And if you take medication, that's fine. And if you don't, that's fine too. It's whatever works, whatever helps. And a lot of people are not comfortable talking about it, but I think it's important to say that it's okay.
And I think the stigma of being called crazy needs to also stop.
I think the thing is with that, we're all just being human. That's it. It's just everybody having a human experience in their own individual way. If you think someone's crazy, well, we're all a little crazy. But then if you think of it another way, then really we're all just being human. So none of us are crazy, if that makes sense. I feel like it does.
Yeah.
It made sense in my head.
I got you.
We're all just doing our best with what we got.
Right.
Doesn't make you crazy.
With depression, a lot of it comes with numbness, where you not only don't feel sad, you don't feel happy, you don't feel like you're numb. And that is something that people also don't remember, is there are days when I don't cry, I don't laugh, I'm just
like
a human. Like I'm just, exactly. Just existing. That is something that sometimes is harder than being sad, because you want to feel something. And then that's where, and I hate talking about this because it's a hard topic for me, but that's where suicide comes in, because people are searching to feel something,
right,
putting themselves into dangerous situations, and at that point a lot of times it's too late.
And it's hard for me to talk about too. I don't experience numbness. I experience all of my feelings, and that's also bad, because sometimes the feelings are too much. And I think when thoughts of suicide come in, it's because we don't want to be in pain. We don't nobody wants to feel like that, and it feels like it's never going to end, and no one wants that. It's just, you have to remember in times like that, it's temporary. Everything's temporary. And temporary, the timeline could be totally different every single situation, but it's never going to be permanent. Suicide is permanent, of course, but we also in that moment feel like how we're feeling or not feeling, whatever we're experiencing is permanent, and we don't want to feel that. So we just want to end the pain. No one wants to end everything. We just want to not be in pain anymore.
Right. And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand, because they're like, it's selfish, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you don't realize, like, when you're in that moment, you don't think about anything else. You just think about being sad constantly.
People that don't understand it, it's hard to explain to them, because they do. I've had people say that. They're like, suicide is so selfish. For someone to say that, they've clearly never experienced depression, and good for them. Lucky them, right? But it's so far from selfish. That person experiencing those emotions, they're literally thinking that no one cares about them and they will not be missed and they don't matter. And to feel that much despair, I wouldn't wish those feelings on anybody.
No, I lost a good friend from it. And like, there were people that called it selfish. Maybe, maybe not. No matter what, he was in a lot of pain.
Right. That's the thing.
And didn't think there was any other option in that moment.
Yeah, that's exactly it. No one in that state of mind is thinking, wow, I can't wait to screw over everyone in my life and leave everybody behind and make everybody in my life sad and miss me. No one's thinking that. They're thinking, I don't matter. No one's going to miss me. No one's even going to notice or care. There's nothing is ever going to get any better, and I don't want to feel this anymore. It feels like it's going to be like that forever. The amount of despair is just horrible and crazy, and it just feels like we don't know how to fix it. We don't know how to feel any different or feel any better, and we don't know how to end that. So we just figure, well, the only way to end it is to end everything. I completely understand why people commit suicide.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some things that we do that help us during times of depression or tough times. Is there anything that helps you besides medication, obviously?
Medication and alcohol. No, I'm just kidding. Cut that out.
Well, you're not wrong.
I've been writing. I have been trying to play guitar more and teach myself, because I don't play guitar out. So that's something that I have been wanting to do. So I'm like, well, when this is all over, maybe I can finally play guitar for myself and not have to pay someone. And, I'm not good at it, but I've been painting. So that
is such a stress relief for me. I love it.
It's so fun. I've just been doing like abstract stuff, whatever you want to call it, just like learning how to blend colors and all that kind of stuff. And I have been painting big canvases, so I don't know what I'm going to do with them. On really nice days, I'll go outside when my parents are like working on the yard and bring the canvas out. My dad will kind of prop it up, and then I'll have all my paints and brushes and stuff, and just be in the moment. Like, I won't be on my phone. I'll literally just be painting.
Yeah.
So that's been helping a lot. And then just finding shows on Netflix and then FaceTiming friends. That helps. That takes a couple hours usually. It's nice, like, catching up with people. So
distractions are huge for being depressed. If I'm feeling that way, I just want to sleep or take a nap or just shut off. And something I learned, I went to a program to help with my depression, and something I learned a lot of things there actually, but one of the things I learned was just distractions and doing basically the opposite of what you want to do. Like, if you're just feeling like crap and you just want to lay in bed and do nothing, go take a shower or go make some food or whatever. And I know these things sound like so trivial, and it's like, that's not going to help. A lot of people say that it's not going to help. It will at least challenge your mind just for a few minutes, just to be in a different headspace, even if it's just temporary. You're at that point, you're just trying to get through the moment. You're not trying to get through the day. You're not trying to get through the month. You're trying to get through that moment. And in that moment, that will help. Even if you don't want to, if you do the exact opposite, it will at least change your brain chemistry for like a second and just help you through that moment. Or exercise, that helps for me a lot. That is huge for me. And not every time. There are times where I'll be depressed, I'll be in a crappy mood, I'll go exercise and I'll still be in a crappy mood. But that's like, I don't know, 10% of the time. I would say 90% of the time I feel better. It helps tremendously. So it's really sucking for not being able to go to the gym right now. I was on a really good streak. It was really helping my mental health, and now I can't go, and that stinks.
I think that's what's hard too, is not having work. I mean, you're working from home now, right?
No, I'm not working. I'm working next week, but for the most part, I'm furloughed right now.
That sucks. That was like something that was stressing me out this morning, is like the whole financial situation. And because I like checked my bank account and I thought I'd get like the stimulus check or whatever by now, or unemployment check, and I haven't gotten anything. I'm like, can I pay my rent? Like, I mean, I'll figure it out obviously, but it's just, I think people that aren't used to like financially struggling, this is hitting hard.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. And that's a huge stress. It's something that helps me, and I don't know if this will help other people, but in times of financial stress, I just tell myself, I'm like, well, what's the worst that could happen? Okay, so I don't pay this bill. So I don't pay my mortgage. I mean, that's the big one. What's the worst that could happen? Am I going to die? No, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to die. I'm going to be okay. So as long as me not paying this bill isn't going to actually kill me, I'm going to make it through somehow. And I've been in crappy situations financially in the past, and I've always somehow made it through.
Yeah,
You're always going to make it, no matter what. I mean, it might suck. It definitely could suck, but you're always going to make it. You're not going to die by not paying this. It's going to be fine. And maybe that sounds like super extreme. I don't know. It helps me through it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I need to look at it like that. My feelings, because like for rent, 2 other people are relying on me to pay so that's where it's hard for me. And then my student loan, my funny story, my ex-boyfriend is my co-signer. So I don't want him ruining his credit.
People know that this is just happening to everybody right now. It's not just you. It's all of us.
Yeah, and I think that's what is easier is knowing that we're not alone. No one is alone in this. No matter what your situation, there's always someone that is either going through it or someone that can help, because some people are better off than others and certain things. And I am blessed. Like I'm staying with my parents in New York. When I get upset, I'm like, it could be worse. It could be so much worse. Like, yes, I have to pay for rent in an apartment that I'm not at, but it is what it is. I still have somewhere that I'm staying. So think of it as like paying rent here.
Yeah. I say the same thing. I got furloughed from the radio station for the most part. Like they still have me on. I mean, I am technically still employed. So I think of that as something I'm grateful for. I am working there next week, but most of my hours were cut. And same thing for all my other jobs. I teach radio at a school. School's not doing anything right now. They pushed out all the sessions, so I can't do that. But I have a house. My husband's still employed. His job was not affected, so we're super thankful for that. You know, we can afford groceries. I have electricity. I have internet. I have Netflix. I'm super fortunate. This could be so much worse. So I just try to tell myself, like, hey, this isn't forever. And it could be so much worse, and just be great. And I'm healthy. Oh my gosh. I'm so grateful for that I'm not sick.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I guess just stay busy and try and know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Like this isn't going to last forever. And
nothing ever does.
All in it together. So
yeah. All right. Well, we should probably wrap up. So let everyone know where they can find you on social media.
So you can go to my Instagram, which is Chelsea Sulky Music. You can go to chelseasulky.com to get all of my socials, my Facebook, Chelsea Sulky, obviously. So like me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, DM me any questions you have, and I'll get back to you with anything, especially with the mental health topic, because I like to be there for people. So
thank you. So as you know, this is A Voice for Echo, and it's at A Voice for Echo on Facebook and Instagram. And to follow me, it's Radio Lauren on Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, same DM or whatever. I'll always be open to talking, chatting, all that. Always wanting to help. That's kind of what I like to do. So we'll be back next week. All 3 of us will be back. Lissa will be joining us again. It'll be the 3 of us for next week's episode. And until then, thanks for watching and be well. Bye.